welcome to the CNBC TV 18 special. I'm Shereen Bhan and we're coming to you from Arkansas in the US. This is Walmart country. The company is not called the Beast of Bentonville without reason. This is Bentonville. Here is where Sam Walton made it all happen. Right behind us is the Walmart Museum, which gives you a slice of the company's history. Now, this is a special time for Walmart. Annually, they host their annual shareholders meeting where shareholders from across the country come to understand what this future strategy looks like, what the company has in store in terms of growth and expansion. This time, there are special visitors from India. Binny Bansal is here from FLIPKART, and Krish Iyer, who heads Walmart India, is here as well. There will perhaps be some conversation about the FLIPKART transaction, which is Walmart's attempt at amplifying its presence in India and also expanding its presence across e-commerce. Now, e-commerce traditionally for Walmart, even globally, has been a bit of a laggard. They've been slow off the block, but they're hoping with the acquisition of FLIPKART as well as global acquisitions that they've done, for instance of Jet, they will be able to amp up their presence in the e-commerce market. Very excited about India and the India opportunity. Believe that the Indian market on the e-commerce side is hugely underpenetrated, and they hope that eventually they will be able to exercise and leverage the synergies between FLIPKART and Walmart and bring what Walmart has to offer to FLIPKART's customers and take FLIPKART sellers onto Walmart's global platform. Two specific areas of interest could perhaps be apparel and accessories. Remember, India continues to be one of Walmart's fastest global sourcing hubs, and they hope that this will only improve post this transaction going through. There is some degree of nervousness, though, on the transaction itself because there is political resistance. There is resistance from the Retailers Association in India. So regulatory approvals are crucial, and that is still awaited. But I managed to catch up with the CEO of International Operations, McKenna, who says that they're long-time committed investors to India, and they hope that the FLIPKART transaction will only give them a better grip on India and help take Indian products and Indian merchandise to the world. In conversation with the CEO of Walmart's International Operations, McKenna. Judith, appreciate you joining us here on CNBC TV 18. I want to start by talking to you about FLIPKART and the investment that you've made there. The transaction hasn't closed just yet. There are some concerns being raised about political resistance to the deal, stakeholders like the Retailers Association raising concerns with the government, possibly even writing to the Competition Commission of India. How worried are you today?
First of all, we're really excited about this transaction and very excited about being part of India in a more expanded way than we are today. We're confident in the process that will occur. We understand that there are some people who have some views about this, but we're going to comply completely with anything that the authorities ask us for, and we expect this to be a smooth process.
Mm-hmm. The only approval that you require is from the Competition Commission of India because this transaction comes under the 100% FDI route. So is that the only approval that you require from the government?
That is the approval that we require, and that's what we're complying with, yes.
Mm-hmm. Let me talk to you about the India opportunity and specifically about what changes for FLIPKART with this investment coming in. In terms of the operating structure, we're given to understand that not too much is going to change. But in terms of synergies and being able to leverage that, can you give me some sense of what the blueprint looks like over the next few months?
Yeah, so you're exactly right in terms of the operating structure. That remains as it is today. We're really confident in the team that's in place, and we want them to continue to run the business just as they do today. What we're hoping is that we can bring some support to the business, in different areas, both from Walmart into FLIPKART, but FLIPKART out to the rest of the world as well. And from an Indian perspective, if you think about an area like sourcing, we believe there's opportunities to globally source through Walmart for certain products, but equally, we think there's a big opportunity to source out of India back into the rest of the world. It's one of our fastest growing sourcing regions already, and we'd like to make sure that we continue to do that.
Any specific categories that you will focus on from a global sourcing perspective from India?
One of the opportunities may be around something like apparel. So what's great about FLIPKART is that under the Myntra business, they already have a strong apparel business. business. We would like to be able to see if we could support that for them and perhaps offer them access to more ranges, more assortment as they progress. But everything will be done based on what the Flipkart team think is right for their customers, which is right for their market.
Speaking of the e-commerce opportunity in specific in India, and of course penetration, clearly there's a lot of headroom for more growth. What's your own sense of that? It's about 2.5% of the retail market today. What is your outlook about e-commerce in India? And in terms of investing further into Flipkart, 2 billion is what you're putting in with the option of doing another billion. What's your own sense about profitability as well?
So actually, if you think about the curves that you see around the world about how e-commerce has taken off on markets, generally they have been understated in every market where this has begun to be more developed. We think that could possibly be true for India as well. It is one of the fastest growing markets, as you know far better than I do. In terms of e-commerce, and although penetration is low, we do expect that to increase quite dramatically over the coming years. Our investment in Flipkart is a long-term investment. We're excited about the long-term future for this business, and we'll be right alongside them at every step of the way as they look to build the business, to build scale, to improve the mix of the business, and ultimately to offer service to the Indian customers.
What will the next steps be to operationalize this relationship and this investment, of course, post the clearance coming in from the government? In terms of the next steps, what can we expect? And about the board composition as well, are you awaiting regulatory clearances before you announce the board?
Yes, so clearly the first step is to get competition clearance for this, so anything that we do awaits that clearance. Beyond that, we'll start to make some plans as to what we could possibly do to be supportive, and we will wait until that time for the board to be announced. Although we fully expect that to be a mix of independent board members, minority investors and Walmart people.
It's now a battle between Walmart, Flipkart and Amazon in India. And to an extent Alibaba, though of course market share wise they don't figure in comparison to Flipkart as well as Amazon. How do you view the competitive landscape? How do you view Amazon's presence in India?
We're used to competitive landscapes around the world. It's one of the things that makes us better as a retailer. But one of the reasons that we've invested in Flipkart is we believe it's a great business. It's got great fundamentals, it's building out a great ecosystem, and it's very connected to the Indian customer. That's what we think makes a winning formula for this business, and we're going to focus on Flipkart and what Flipkart can do to be successful in the future.
What do you think specifically Walmart can bring to the table? Because in terms of e-commerce, you've actually been a late starter globally. So what can you bring to the table specifically to aid Flipkart's further and future growth?
So we've already talked about one of those areas being global sourcing. So that's one of the areas we believe that we can bring. There may be some technology changes between what we're developing in different markets around the world that would be applicable, and the team there will have access to anything that Walmart is developing around the world, should they want that. Equally, we'll be very open to any ideas that they've got that we can help support them with. But as we get through the next few months and into the process of getting to know the businesses better, we'll be able to pinpoint what those are much more clearly. But the intention is for this business to continue to operate as it does today, and we'll lean in where it makes sense to do that.
Let me ask you a quick question about the future as far as more niche services being offered, more personalized services being offered. Do you believe that that could be the road ahead, even as far as Walmart Flipkart is concerned on the e-commerce side? And what about the affluent consumer? That's what you're hoping to reach out to via Jet. Could that be something that you would look at going forward?
I think all of the options are open. And I think what you've just talked about is e-commerce around the world, not just in India, which is there are different options. And the great thing about operating online is you can try different things. As you've heard some of the things about Jet, for example, you can try different things. You can see what works. You can see which consumers your offers appeal to, and you can target much more clearly. I think personalisation is going to become more important. And you see that whichever country that we operate in. And I think there's a real opportunity in India to continue the work that the team are already doing.
So are we going to see a lot more of you in India?
Oh, I hope so. I love India. It is a fantastic country, and I'm looking forward to visiting again soon.
Judith, appreciate your time. Thanks very much for speaking to us on CNBC TV 18.